Ever since the first cinematic trailer, Baldur's Gate 3 has been showing symbols alluding to the Dead Three's return, from the first few seconds of the Flaming Fist mercenary who turns into a mind flayer to the goblins who wear necklaces to show their faith. It's even confirmed by Larian Studios themselves in their press kit. As we desperately seek a cure, we discover the tadpole gives us godlike powers, and we find ourselves on the center stage of a complot hatched by none other than the Dead Three, the gods of murder, tyranny, and death. Who are the Dead Three? Why are they given this much importance? In today's lore episode, we will seek to understand the Dead Three's origins, who they were and how they came to power, their connections to the game's prequel Descent into Avernus, and their relation to the cult of the Absolute in Baldur's Gate 3. Welcome to Content Critters. If you're interested in more Baldur's Gate 3 lore and news, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell to receive notifications when new videos go live. Without further ado, let's begin. The Dark Three, as Bane, Bhaal, and Myrkul were previously referred to, weren't gods to begin with, but powerful mortals who lusted after the power of Jurgul, Lord of the End of Everything. As mortals, Bane was the tyrant, Myrkul was the necromancer, and Bhaal was the assassin. The trio made a pact that they would do everything in their power or die trying to become gods. Regardless of the type of monsters they slaughtered, they always got out unscathed. The trio eventually journeyed to the Castle of Bone to confront Jurgul. They continued to kill the armies of skeletons, zombies, and the undead that tried to get in their way. Jurgul willingly gave up his throne because he became weary and tired of his position. He even offered to guide them in their new roles until they became comfortable. And thus, the new life of the Dark Three as gods began. Bane, Bhaal, and Myrkul became known as the Lords of Tyranny, Murder, and Bones, respectively. As deities, the Dark Three continued to be consumed by their desire to acquire more power, so Bane and Myrkul stole the Tablets of Fate, powerful artifacts that maintained the balance between law and chaos, as they believed that the overgod Io's power can be retrieved from these. When Io discovered that the tablets went missing and that none of the gods admitted to any wrongdoing, he punished them, taking their divine powers in the process. This ended the reign of the Dark Three, and they were eventually slain. After the heroes recovered the tablets, Io destroyed it, leading to more chaos as the worlds of Aebir and Toril started to overlap. Because of this, in the 1480s DR, Io decided to recreate the Tablets of Fate in the Sundering in an attempt to separate both worlds once more and to bring about law and order. As a result, many of the dead deities, including the now-known Dead Three, came back to life. Io commanded the gods to no longer meddle and to leave the worlds to mortals. However, the Dead Three refused and they came back. The penalty for this decision included giving up their immortalities. They are now demigods in a weakened state, and because of this, they have to keep a low profile. But the Dead Three can still continue to imbue their followers with a tiny part of their power, leading to Bane spawns, Bhaal spawns, and Myrkul spawns, as another means for resurrection. In 1494 DR, during the time of descent into Avernus, the Dead Three's worshippers or cultists have continued to grow in number. Bane's followers are warriors who seek to rule through strength and intimidation. Bhaal's worshippers are assassins who carry out gruesome murders by charming and disarming their victims. And Myrkul's followers are necromancers who desecrate corpses and transform them into lesser undead to become their minions. Currently, Duke Thalamra Vanthampur has been funding the Dead Three cultists to ensue panic among the Flaming Fist and to rip them apart as an organization. Doing so will thrust Baldur's Gate into the depths of the Nine Hells, similar to what happened to Elturel. She has brokered a deal with the Archdevil Zariel. In return, she will become the Grand Duke once the Flaming Fist is viewed as incompetent in protecting the city and will therefore be disbanded. The Dead Three cultists have been hiding in a dungeon below a bathhouse that's secretly owned and operated by the Vanthampur family. Thalamra's son, Mortlock Vanthampur, has been helping to coordinate the cultists' attacks in the city. In the dungeon lies the altars of Bane, Bhaal, and Myrkul. Although they are eventually wiped out, it seems that new cultists who continue to worship the Dead Three have sprung in Baldur's Gate 3. In the press kit, Larian Studios also introduces the Cult of the Absolute. Amid all this chaos, a new cult is on the rise, the Cult of the Absolute. Seeking to overthrow the old order, its shadowy network is chipping away at the Forgotten Realm's foundations. Baldur's Gate itself will be the first to fall. This sounds like a reference to the fall of Elturel into Avernus, the first layer of Hell, which we'll talk about in a separate video. We also see more of these cultists when Lae'zel talks to a goblin wearing a Dead 3 pendant. Lae'zel even visits their underground lair in the hopes of slaying the hobgoblin leader. Here, we see the conversations exchanged between them. One goblin asks, "Do you hear the Absolute's voice? Do you feel her inside you?" At the center of the lair is a dead mind flayer whom the goblins have intended to speak with using the Speak of the Dead spell according to Sven. This ritual is eerily similar to Myrkulite necromancers who are very adept when it comes to experiments involving the dead. Also, when selecting tadpole-related powers of manipulation and control in the dialogue options, the character speaks of being a true soul, similar to what the goblins speak about in reference to the Absolute. Furthermore, there is a connection between the cult and the Mind Flayers as confirmed from one of the interviews given by senior writer Adam Smith. He implicates the cult, led by the Mind Flayers, of kidnapping and implanting a tadpole into your mind, which will turn you into a Mind Flayer after several days. There is certainly a much bigger threat involved with evil beings working together, and this new god, the Absolute, is uniting them all. Perhaps Bane, Bhaal, and Myrkul have managed to unite themselves into becoming a single, more powerful god, also as a means of protection from multiple threats. Sven goes on to explain the similarity of the Bhaalspawn legacy from the earlier Baldur's Gate games to the Mind Flayer tadpole by both showing the amount of power each source is able to provide. Will you allow this power to dictate your move in Baldur's Gate 3, or will you try to resist? Let me know in the comments section below. We still don't know what each evil faction will get in return for their faith, but it certainly leaves us with more questions to think about as we wait for early access to arrive. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again next week for more lore.